One a day.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you very much. I teach here at the college. You're always welcome to email me or stop by my office.
And if we could bring the screen down, please. We are ready to commence with our food fight. Any second now, as soon as I know our faculty are ready. They've prepped their case. They're going to argue from the government side. I do not see the opposition team. We might have to consider it a forfeit.
Shame.
Okay. So I will just quickly remind everybody of what our ground rules are. And if the government wants to come on up and take your place at the stage, I'll run a few things past you as well. Alicia, can you give me those cards that are on that screen? Not the papers, just the cards. Okay, I'm going to be keeping time during the debate, and as I showed previously, the first speech is going to be a 7-minute constructive argument. The next 3 are 8-minute constructive arguments. After the first minute of the first 4 speeches, I'm going to do that to let them know the protected time is over and that they may raise questions. And then from there, the debate continues, and at the last minute, I'll do that again, and that means that it's back in protected time and they may not be interrupted. I will also be demonstrating, I'll be sitting out in front to the speakers that when they have 5 minutes left, they will see this card. So Jim and Sarah, you will see this card. You will see it go down to 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, we thought it was a forfeit for a moment. If you would take your places, gentlemen. I'll also have a card that will show you there are 30 seconds left to your speech. And then the last card you'll see is this card, which means stop or I'll punch you. No, actually, it's a fist. So that's a signal we use in actual competition. So again, I would like us to remember our role as the peanut gallery. You are also in a twist for this format, the adjudicators, the deciders of the debate. So anytime in welcoming our speakers, we will give them some spirited rapping to in place of applause, not snapping, that's beat egg era. Okay, but we will do our spirited rapping, and at any point we feel the need or the compulsion to yell shame, feel free. Okay, so I will be welcoming each of our speakers. Why don't we do some quick, can I by hand? I'd like to do some brief introductions, starting from stage, not so much working. Okay, starting from my right, your left, is Christopher Cox. From next to him is Joe Cusimano. Then our esteemed, illustrious faculty, you can tell what side I play for, is Sarah Ruffin and Jim Gould. All right, and I will be calling each speaker, and I'll bring the bell with me, and we will begin this debate by calling to order and welcoming the Prime Minister as they advance their constructive argument in 7 minutes. Jim Gould, Mr. Prime Minister. Oh, Sarah Ruffin, Ms. Prime Minister.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I want to start by taking an opportunity to thank you all for coming here tonight, and in general for being a part of this really exciting food series. So tonight, the resolution before us is that this House cannot afford to eat organically. We are defining some terms for you. So this House is the American family today. So that includes yourselves, it includes myself, and in general, the American families. We are defining affordability as an economic term, economically affording food, and organically as defined by the USDA. So American families cannot afford to eat organically. This statement is more true than false, and that is how you'll weigh this decision today, is that it is more true true than false statement. To start with, we were talking about costly food. Organic food is just more expensive than non-organic food today. So if you think about the things that you regularly buy in the grocery store, things like milk is almost double the cost if you buy it organically. Vegetables, double the cost when you buy them organically. Even boxed foods and pre-prepared foods that American families rely on with such busy schedules are oftentimes double the cost when you're purchasing them organically. So in general, the cost is simply higher. We also know that for American families today are dealing with unemployment levels that we haven't seen in a long time, 10% unemployment in the state of Illinois. Families are already reducing their budgets, cutting things as much as they can. To ask them to spend more money on food when they're already cutting their budget is simply not realistic. It's not a realistic option. The proportion of money that they're spending on food can simply not get higher as they're dealing with budget cuts already. There's also a cost-benefit analysis to work out here. To consider, marginal utility. What can organic food really do for you that requires such a higher cost spent out of your daily budget? So when thinking about this, we're using the neighbor test. So if you walk over to your next door neighbor and you say to your neighbor, maybe you should think of switching to organic food. Why not? They might say, organic food's not a bad way to go. There's some good things about it. But I really can't afford it right now. Maybe I have extra people living in my home and I'm feeding more mouths than I typically would right now. Or maybe I'm really trying to cut back and I'm looking at the grocery store, I'm walking down the aisle and I'm seeing these organic sections, they look great, it seems like a great idea, but I cannot afford it. And the truth is American families right now cannot afford to switch to organic foods. If you think about it, I'll get to your question in a moment. If you think about it, it's kind of like walking into a bar, which kind of sounds like a bad joke, but so imagine walking into a bar. So imagine walking into a bar. What's the difference between ordering a vodka tonic and ordering a Grey Goose and tonic? You order top shelf to impress your significant other, you order top shelf to impress other people that you know the name of a special alcohol. But the truth is, it's all the same. And when you're really cutting corners economically, you just order the bottom shelf, not the top shelf. I'll take your question.
Just if you could clarify for us what the weighing mechanism for that is?
More true than false.
Okay.
So we're looking at an option that seems like a good idea, but it is more true than false that American families today cannot afford to eat organically. And to suggest that they should or that it's feasible right now is simply not a true statement, especially not with the economic factors that we're dealing with. So since you, the audience, get to judge on this debate, it's important to think about yourselves in this situation. What can you afford? Think about your own economic status. What can you afford if we asked you to double the cost of the amount of money that you spend on food every month? For most of us sitting in this room, everything from poor college student, I used to be one, I remember what that was like, to a family maybe taking care of yourselves as a family unit, or maybe even you have relatives coming to live with you, right, because economic times are tough. Can you really afford to double your food budget? I would say that the answer for most of us in this room is not right now. It seems like a good idea, but I just can't afford the extra costs.
Now, we will recognize the Leader of Opposition, who will present an 8-minute constructive argument.
Just a brief start off, I want to thank everybody who's obviously coming so far. I think we had a few people who've been through all of these units that we've had out, and you're going to remember a couple of things I said from some of the things we learned. I'd like to thank this handsome devil as my partner here today. He's a great help. I'd like to thank the government today for constructing a case. I'm sure we're all going to learn a couple of things here. I'd like the class we have going on. We're all going to have a lot of fun. And I'd like to thank Bonnie for showing the times, because I'm going to need it. That being said, let's go over a couple of things. Obviously, this is a fact case, and the resolution was this house cannot afford to eat organic.